sure some of you have been to Israel. There is a wall in Israel, just like there's a wall on the Mexican border between U.S. and Mexico for hundreds of miles. There is a border wall there in Israel, but the cities are not walled. And they're all dwelling safely. Israel's very, very prosperous, by the way. If you haven't been there, it is gorgeous, and they have done a remarkable job with it. They're a major exporter of agricultural produce, of chemicals, of all different kinds of things. All over the world, they found natural gas, a massive, massive reserve of natural gas off the Mediterranean coast, which they're now building a pipeline so they can supply that to Europe. And Russia is the number one adversary of that. So when it says here that you're going to come down to take spoil, Israel is a massively resourceful place. When we were there, the Dead Sea has over 1 billion tons of chemicals in it. It is a chemical-rich environment. So Israel's amazing if you've never been there. So they're going to come down when they're at peace. However, God here says on that day, when Gog and Magog come down, the look on my face is going to change. And no longer is it going to be peace. I'm going to come in my wrath and in my fury. So here's what I believe. I believe this happens around the beginning of the tribulation period of time. In fact, let me just give you a timeline of what I believe is going to happen. We're living in a time right now of relative peace. Okay, it's not peace, but it's relative peace compared to what's going to happen in the tribulation. Israel is a land of unwalled villages, and they are dwelling in relative peace right now. Okay, and so I believe that, and I'm going to be talking now in the next segment about Iran's nuclear capabilities. The State Department just made a remarkable announcement about this, what's about to happen. But I believe that there's going to be a provocation. God says in Ezekiel, I'm going to put a hook in your jaw and draw you down to the mountains of Israel. God is going to provoke them. I believe that is going to be a military confrontation between Israel and Iran. I believe that's going to be the hook in the jaw. That's my personal opinion. When that happens, there's going to be the Gog and Magog war. At the end of the Gog and Magog war, I believe the Antichrist will show up on the scene. Around that period of time will be the rapture of the church. I don't know if it's before then or during it or after it, but around that time, there's the rapture of the church. The Antichrist shows up on the heels of the Gog and Magog war, and he becomes the man of peace. And he brokers a 7-year peace deal, or confirms a 7-year peace deal between Israel and the UN, Israel and himself, whoever he represents. And then that begins the tribulation period of time. But there's no doubt about several things. One is, this is a coalition of nations that is on the scene right now. They're all in relationship and they all hate Israel. Okay, they're all anti-Semitic, number one. Number two, Sheba and Dedan, Tarshish and her young lions are all politically aligned with Israel and not with those other nations. And they exist right now. So the geopolitical landscape is exactly what this says. Okay, is exactly what this says. And there's going to be relative peace, then all heaven breaks loose, and we're going to see the beginning of the tribulation. That's my opinion. But this is the first reference to America in end time prophecy. Well, are we mentioned again? Maybe. Okay, we're not very prominent, maybe. Okay, this is Revelation 12. Now, when the dragon saw that he had been cast to the earth, he persecuted the woman who gave birth to the male child. But the woman was given 2 wings of a great eagle that she might fly into the wilderness to her place, where she is nourished for a time and times and half a time from the presence of the serpent. Well, this is Israel. Okay, Israel, this is mid-trib, and Satan is thrown out of heaven, and he's absolutely in a fury, and he begins to persecute Israel. But Israel is allowed to go into basically the desert mountains. This would be Jordan, present-day Jordan, that they are fleeing to the mountains, and it says they're helped by an eagle. Is that eagle the United States? It could be. This is the second possible reference to America in the end times. Now, the only problem I have with it is the Lord said to Israel concerning their exodus from Egypt, I bore you out on eagle's wings. And we know that when the children of Israel left Egypt with Moses, there was no eagle, there was no America that came and helped them. But this is a possible reference to America. Okay, so here's another question. Why isn't America more prominent in end time prophecy? Because we're not prominent. Okay, I think that we're there in Ezekiel 38. I don't know about Revelation, but we're there in Ezekiel 38. Why are we not more prominent? Well, America is decimated by the rapture. And let me just give you some numbers here. In May of 2017, Barna, the major researcher, did a study of how many born again adults there were in America. Okay, around 30%. This is and truly born again, using the right criteria. He used the right criteria of measuring whether a person receives Jesus as their personal Lord and Savior, believes in the Bible, so on and so forth. Around 30%. There are 332 million Americans today. That would be around 100 million believers. Now, remember, I believe children under the age of accountability, believers' children, not unbelievers' children, but believers' children go with them in the rapture. I don't believe that God leaves our children here and our grandchildren here behind. I believe that if we're saved, our children go with us. So this would be born again people with their children, be around 100 million people. Imagine 1/3 of a nation disappearing in the twinkling of an eye. Your army is gone, your government's gone, your systems are gone. And what would that do? That would mean America just isn't really a factor in the end times. That's really what it means. And the other possibility there is that we've been defeated by China, Russia. Iran is threatening us with nuclear. I'm going to talk about that here in the next section. But I don't believe that's true. I don't believe that we're going to be defeated by some other superpower, because Jesus said it would be like the days of Noah and the days of Lot. I don't think there's going to be some massive nuclear exchange or massive war before the rapture. But the rapture itself is a devastating event. There will be nations of the world relatively unimpacted by the rapture, but America will be definitely impacted. And I think that will decimate us and make us not much of a player on the world stage at that point. So that's my answer. We are, I think, mentioned in Ezekiel 38. I don't know about Revelation chapter 12, possibly, but I don't believe that we're a player in the end times because of the rapture. That's my answer. Now we're going to go now. If you're not a subscriber, this next part of our program is for subscribers only. Go to endtimes.com and subscribe. $7 a month, $77 a year. But if you're a subscriber, stay tuned. If not, I'll see you next time.
Please subscribe to Pastor Jimmy Evans' channel to receive the latest videos.